What's the one line your partner on the force should never cross? Where does the brotherhood end and betrayal begin? We talk about trust in relationships, but what about the trust that literally keeps you alive? The person who watches your back in a dark alley, the one you'd take a bullet for. What do you do when you realize that person already fired the shot, and the one who guided their aim is sleeping in your bed? My name is Alex. For 8 years, my partner Leo wasn't just my backup, he was my brother. We came up through the academy, celebrated promotions, pulled each other out of hellish situations. That trust was absolute, harder than steel. At home, there was Nina, my wife of 6 years. She was my calm, the sanctuary from the job's chaos. She understood the late nights, the stress, because Leo explained it to her over dinners at our place, over laughs in our kitchen. I felt lucky. I had 2 anchors. But lately, a tiny silent alarm had started pinging in the back of my mind. They had their own shorthand, finishing stories about my cases that I hadn't even told her about yet. Inside jokes that landed just between them. I dismissed it. Paranoia was an occupational hazard, right? Until the day I went looking for a charging cable in Nina's nightstand, and my fingers closed around something cold, hard, and unmistakably not mine. I sat in my car, parked in the precinct lot, but a million miles away. The familiar hum of the engine was the only sound in a world that had gone silent. A frame-up. Not just a betrayal of the heart, but a demolition of my life, my freedom, my name. The rage was there, a white-hot sun in my chest, but I couldn't afford to let it burn. I had to freeze it, turn it into a tool. They thought they were the only chess players. They'd forgotten who taught them the game. I couldn't go home. That was their territory now, wired with my own ignorance. I couldn't go to a friend. Anyone I trusted was also Leo's friend, part of the same thin blue lie. I was an island, and that, I realized, was my first advantage. They'd expect me to be emotional, to confront, to panic. They'd be watching for that. So, I became a ghost. I sent Nina a text. Crazy double shift. Might crash at my sister's. Don't wait up. Normal. Unaffected. The perfect performance. Her reply was instant, laden with false concern. Okay, be safe. Love you. I deleted it. My next move was infrastructure. I drove to a pay-as-you-go electronics store across town, a place with no cameras and a bored cashier, burner phone, prepaid data cards, a cheap, powerful laptop. I paid in cash. I was now officially off their grid. Then the real work began. I needed to turn their own web against them. I used a piece of software we'd seized in a cybercrime case, something I'd quietly kept a copy of. It could clone a device's digital fingerprint, allowing me to spoof their phones. I cloned Nina's phone first. From my new laptop, in the back of a 24-hour laundromat, I watched her messages appear in real time. Most were to Leo, and they weren't lovey-dovey, they were logistics. Is the channel clean? Asset is quiet. The package needs moving. They were talking about me. I was the asset. The package was the evidence they were planting. A plan crystallized, cold, and precise. I wouldn't destroy their evidence. I would amplify it. I would make it so bright, so loud, it would blind them. Using the clone, I sent a message from Nina to Leo. Paranoia spiking. He was asking about the Delaney case today. We need to accelerate the drop. The backup location, tonight. Then, I switched to Leo's clone. From Leo to Nina. Agreed. Too many eyes. Use the secondary. Midnight. If he's sniffing around, we activate contingency. Make sure the item is in his trunk. I was writing their script for them, feeding their own paranoia back into their veins. I was making them rush, making them sloppy. My final move was the catalyst. I couldn't go to my own department. Internal affairs was a labyrinth, and Leo had friends there. I needed an outsider, hungry and clean. Detective Mara Vance. Homicide, a different bureau. Ambitious, sharp as a razor, and famously disliked Leo after he'd stolen credit on a case years ago. I had my channel. From an anonymous, encrypted account, I sent her a data packet. Not everything. Just enough. The GPS anomaly, placing Leo at my address during the murder window. A cropped screenshot of the cleanup chat. A scanned copy of the evidence log showing Nina's earring with a note. Cross-reference with G. Delaney, witness murder. Suspect lead. Officer Leo Brennan. Motive. Financial ties to Delaney Syndicate via shell company Viridian Holdings. I made it look like a whistleblower from within the corruption trial was targeting Leo. I gave her a puzzle where all the edges pointed to him. Then I waited. I parked in the shadows across from the downtown storage facility, the secondary location I dictated in my fake text, and at 11:47 p.m. I saw them. Leo's unmarked car, Nina in the passenger seat. They were here, following the orders I had given them. They were moving the package, the gun, the fake documents, whatever final piece of my frame they had. They were doing exactly what I wanted, under the glow of a streetlight, perfectly visible. I took photos, crisp, clear, time-stamped photos. And as they pulled away, I sent one single image to Mara Vance's anonymous tip line. Leo and Nina at the storage unit, a heavy lockbox between them. The subject line, witness murder evidence, in transit now. The trap wasn't just set, it was sprung. Their own conspiracy was now a spotlight, and I had just handed the switch to the one person who wouldn't hesitate to flip it. That radio code, 187, homicide, was the sound of their world breaking. I sat in the dark, 2 blocks away, listening to the chaos unfold over the encrypted scanner app on my burner phone. The call went out to internal affairs, to the chief's office, to a specialised unit that handled police corruption. It wasn't just a detention, it was a takedown. My photos had turned their secret meeting into a damning transaction. Mara Vance had moved faster than I dreamed. I didn't watch them get cuffed. I didn't need to. I knew the script. Leo, proud Leo, would be arguing protocol, demanding his union rep, his voice a mix of fury and panic. Nina would be in tears, the perfect picture of manipulated innocence, but the cold logistical texts on her phone would betray her. The lockbox they were moving would be opened. Inside, they'd find my missing service weapon, ballistics sure to match the Delaney witness, along with falsified financial records in my name linked to Viridian Holdings. The very evidence they'd crafted to bury me was now Exhibit A in their own conspiracy. I drove to the precinct, not as a fugitive, but as a ghost, walking back into the machine. The atmosphere was electric with silent scandal. Cops avoided my eyes. Whispers cut off as I passed. I went straight to Captain Torres's office. He looked older, the weight of the night pressing down on him. "Alex," he said, his voice gravel. "IA has them. Vance is leading it. The things they're finding." He trailed off, shaking his head. "They were setting you up to take the fall for the witness hit. Why?" "Because I was the only one who trusted them enough to get close," I said, my voice empty. "And because I was the only one who could be made to look guilty enough to end the Delaney investigation for good." I handed him my badge and my service weapon, my clean alternate piece. "I'm resigning, effective immediately, and I'll be giving my full statement to Vance and IA. But I want something first." He stared at the badge on his desk. "What?" "5 minutes with each of them. In holding. Alone." "Alex, that's not procedure." "5 minutes," I repeated, the ice in my voice leaving no room. "Or my statement becomes a lawsuit about departmental negligence for ignoring prior signs of my partner's corruption." It was a bluff, but in the fragile silence of a crumbling case, bluffs have weight. He gave a stiff, single nod. They put me in the visitation room first with Leo. He looked smaller without his badge and belt, hunched in the orange jumpsuit. The brotherhood was a ghost between us. He looked up, his eyes burning with a betrayed fury that was almost funny. "You set this up," he hissed. "I followed the evidence," I said, my voice flat. "You just made sure it all pointed to you. The badge in my drawer, Leo. That was arrogant. Did you leave it there to taunt me, or was it part of the plant? Doesn't matter. It was the first thread. And you know what happens when you pull a thread on a tapestry of lies." I leaned forward, just a little. "You're not a disgraced cop. You're a cop who murdered a witness to protect a criminal empire. You're the monster we swore to put away. You'll die in a supermax, and every guard, every inmate will know exactly what you did." The fury in his eyes flickered, replaced by a dawning, hollow terror. He saw the future I was painting, and it was a tomb. I stood up to leave. The brotherhood ends here. They took me to Nina next. She was in a separate cell, her performance in full swing, pale, trembling, the victim. When she saw me, fresh tears welled up. "Alex, they made me. Leo threatened me. I was scared. Save it for the jury. I cut her off, my voice quieter than with Leo, which made it worse. I read the texts, Nina. The cleanup logs. You weren't scared. You were meticulous. You orchestrated the fight that gave me my alibi. You told me you lost the earring I gave you. You let him into our bed and into my case files to build a cage for me. I didn't raise my voice. The calm was the final knife. You chose a co-conspirator over a husband. So now you have neither. You have a cell and a lifetime of being known as the cop's wife who helped frame him for murder. I hope the deal you made with Leo was worth it, because it's the only thing you have left. The performance shattered. The tears dried up, her face hardening into the cold, calculating mask I'd only glimpsed before. She had nothing left to say. I'd seen the real her. That was enough. I walked out of the precinct for the last time. The legal machinery would grind on without me. Leo would be convicted on a mountain of evidence, much of it real, some of it helpfully curated by me. Nina would take a plea, but she'd still do serious time. The Delaney case would be reopened, clean. But I was done with that world. The settlement from the city for the wrongful frame-up attempt was substantial. I used it to start a small private firm, not a PI agency chasing cheating spouses. A firm that specializes in digital forensics and security for people who've been betrayed by systems they trusted. I help people find their own threads to pull. Sometimes, in the quiet of my new office, I think about that badge in the drawer. They thought it was a piece in their game, a symbol of their control. But in the end, it was just the first clue they left in a crime scene they created, and I was the only detective on duty. If you found this story of betrayal, survival, and calculated justice compelling, make sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments. When trust is weaponized, is turning the weapon back on the attacker justice, or does it cost a piece of your soul? I'll be reading. Thanks for your time.